Hey, this is Jack with Vacationese, and I am with Maddie. And Maddie had a wedding not too long ago. So, Maddie, we want to talk a little bit about your wedding. So, thanks for doing this with us.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
And I've saw some of the pictures; they looked amazing. So, can you tell everybody when your wedding was?
Yeah, so our wedding was February 6th of this year, so of 2023. And we had it at the Moon Palace in Cancun. And it was absolutely beautiful.
So, how many people did you invite, and how many people actually showed up?
So we ended up, I think, inviting, oh, probably 150 to 200 people. And
Wow, that's a big
yeah,
group.
it
You're
was a big group.
popular.
Yeah, we are the more the merrier kind of people, and we were willing to do everything that we could to get as many people there. But yeah, we ended up having 83, I think, turnout. So we had a really fun time, and most of our group stayed 5 to 7 days, which was it was nice. I did consider doing a wedding here where I'm from in Iowa, but really to me, what mattered was spending more time with our family and friends, and that is why we went this route was because we got that time other than just our day to be with the people we love most.
I don't recall, when did you contact us so that we could start the whole process? How far in advance was that? Was that
Sure.
January?
Yeah, so we got engaged actually right before we had our baby Wesley, and that was New Year's Eve. So I contacted you, I think maybe it was February or March. I should have looked at all this information. I looked up on YouTube, which is how I found you. And I love your channel and it was so helpful to me as a bride. Which is one of the main reasons why I said yes to sitting down with you is because of how helpful your information was. But we were looking somewhere that could be family oriented resort. We needed something big if we were going to have a bunch of people. And we wanted it to be a place where everyone could have something to do, because sometimes when you sit around the same pool every day you can get it can get repetitive, and we were personally there 14 days, so we wanted something that wasn't going to be repetitive. And I brain dumped on you. I said, this is what I need, make it happen. And you gave us three different resort choices, and we started to dig deeper into those resorts from there. So really my first go-to was contacting you and using you as a resource for me, especially with your experience in Cancun and other places around the world that you've done so many weddings with.
So tell us about some of the events you had for your wedding.
So events, we opted into the package we had because we had so many people and so many rooms booked or room nights booked. We decided to do three different events, one being a welcome party. We had that the night that everybody arrived at the resort. I mean, it was nice because the wedding team at Palace, we all hands on deck for us the whole day. We felt like we were well taken care of. We had a very positive experience with it all. But yeah, I would recommend doing a weekday. If I were a bride to do it, I would do it all over again on a Monday. But you have to be okay with getting there early, like you said. So the Saturday everybody got there, we did a welcome party.
And what was the theme
Unfortunately,
of that? What kind of food and things like that did you do, and where was it? What location?
sure. So we had it outside on a terrace. It was supposed to be a beautiful night. We got a little rainstorm working up in the morning. So we opted, excuse me, we opted into moving it to a ballroom, which isn't my favorite because I'm
Can
a
I
big.
ask you? Here's a good question for you, 'cause this is great. So tell us about the process for Plan B with Palace, how that worked and things like that, because brides are always concerned, and you were in February, which isn't really a rainy time, but brides
Mhm.
are always concerned, oh my, what's going to happen if it rains? So tell us how that went.
Okay, so what happens is in everyone's contract, I don't know if it's going to look different at what resort, but basically they'll talk it through with you at your pre-wedding planning and say, you have basically this many hours before your event to tell us if you want it to be moved inside. And your wedding planner at the resort will make it very clear to you in the morning. She'll be like, well, there's something in the forecast, so you got to make a decision. I believe ours was 5 hours before. So I waited down to the very last minute because I would say I'm a little bit of a high maintenance girly. I like things how I like them, and I don't like change. So for me, it was a little difficult to think that I had to move my event inside. But the reason I chose it is because no one wanted to be a soggy dog, and no one cared at the end of the day. It was inside. Like if it happens, it happens. But yeah, we all stayed dried, and that was the most important. When we were there, I was given a concierge lady at the wedding department, which I had no clue was another amenity that they had there. She came up to me and greeted us, and she gave me her WhatsApp. They operate everything on WhatsApp. So if you don't have it and you're planning a wedding in Mexico, download
Get it.
it.
Yeah.
But basically she said, hey, if you want reservations at any of these, typically you can only reserve, if you're a normal guest, up to 24 hours before, I
Right.
believe, the day happens. But I could reserve literally my whole trip if I wanted to. So you
Wow.
could, yeah. So
You were
she
a
was able.
VIP.
You really are. You're treated like a VIP there, and we felt that way. You get different color wristbands. Everyone knew it was your wedding that was working there. They all congratulated you there. I'm telling you, in Mexico, the hospitality is unmatched, from my
No,
experience.
I agree with you. I tell people all the time that if I personally had to choose Mexico, the DR, or Jamaica, it's Mexico all day long. The people there have hospitality in their hearts, and they truly enjoy their jobs and serving people.
I 100% agree with you. Yeah. But that one went really well. And then the next day, Monday, we just was our wedding day. So 3 events total. And everyone didn't feel like it was too much. My big goal, and Jack, you really helped me with this. You told me, hey, there is a lot of things to see and do at this resort. And there's a lot of restaurants to have. And I didn't want to be the bride that's like, you need to be here this night, here this night, here this night. I wanted people to make their own vacation out of it. So that's the reason I did a 7 to 10 welcome party, is because I wanted them to be able to go to dinner at whatever restaurant that was first, and then have hors d'oeuvres later if they were hungry, and an open bar, just something to do at night. They do have nightclubs, and they do have other things like fun bars to go and hang out in. But yeah, so we wanted to make sure that the events that we had weren't overwhelmingly their whole vacation.
Right. And what I always tell brides, especially at the Moon, because we can talk about their perks, is don't over event your guests.
Mm-hmm.
Because just to your point, if they're only there 4 or 5 nights and you're taking 4 of them, and they look at the Moon and they go, oh my gosh, there's 15 restaurants to eat at. And when we talk to them, people that over event their guests, the common complaint we hear from the guests is, I had a great time at the resort, but I never got to eat at the 15 restaurants because I had wedding stuff. And we constantly say, well, that's why you were there, one. And B, that's why we always suggest don't just stay 3 or 4 nights. Make this a vacation and enjoy yourselves, because you can't call us from the resort and say, hey, I want to extend my stay, because it's not as easy as it sounds. So it's great to hear that you took our advice, your advice. And I can tell you from talking to your guests, we didn't hear anybody saying you were over eventing. Where
Yeah.
was your ceremony? What location did you have that? And where was your reception?
So, to your point here, so I wanted a typical in the sand wedding. And if Jack posts my dress, I had a very, my dress was very different. It had feathers on it. I definitely wanted like a very like boho, like lifted kind of wedding. Like an elevated boho is kind of what I was going for, with very muted neutral colors. I had a dress code, all that stuff. So I really had a vision of on the sand. But the more I thought about it, and the more I thought about how much money I spent on my dress, I was like, I am not going to get sand on this. So what we ended up doing is going to the garden terrace, which it is a beach view. I'm sure Jack will show pictures of what it was. But we still got that beach sand look,
In the
but on.
background. Yeah, it's the
Uh-huh.
best of the best, because you're right above the beach and you're not getting sand in your toes. And ladies, if you want to wear heels, you can wear heels there as well. So what was your favorite part of the wedding events and everything to do with the wedding? What was your favorite part?
I think that the moment that really was my favorite was when Jared and I pulled up to our reception. We had our wedding coordinator drive us up there, and I saw my vision alive, and they had knocked it out of the park. That was my favorite part, because the aesthetic, I had a very specific aesthetic. I had a dress code for my guests. I was, again, high maintenance. But seeing that vision come to life on that day, like, was so rewarding, and it made everything worth it. And again, they killed it. Every aspect of my day, they killed it.
That's great. That's great. They're going to be happy to hear that. That's awesome. Well, my interview with Maddie kept going and going, and we had some really great information. So what I'm going to do is stop the video here, and then next week put part 2 of the video, because again, there was just some great information from Maddie. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. This is Jack with Vacationese, and I'll be back with Maddie next week for the rest of our interview.